Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video is gonna be the highly anticipated, the HAILEY bossing build. So without further ado guys, let's get right on into today's video. But before we do that though, real quick, my creator code is gonna be on screen right now, so please do use that creator code. It is the best way to support me. The more people we get rocking that code, the sooner I will be able to do several giveaways on my Discord and on my YouTube channel. Now with all of that out of the way, let's actually get on into this build. Starting off, let's go on over the Descendant modules you are going to want to run on HAILEY. So this config on screen right now is going to be dedicated to soloing bosses and running in a duo. However, I'm going to have another config later in this video, which is going to give you a little bit of a different build. However, that is more designed towards trios and squads. So let's get on into what the modules are here for and how they are going to work. As of right now, we don't have any Transcendent mods for HAILEY, so this slot is going to remain empty. MP conversion is here for skill cooldown. Now skill cooldown on HAILEY is not the most important thing, but this will help out, especially if the boss fights can go on maybe a little bit longer than expected. We've got chill specialist because, as you know, HAILEY's kind of chill like that, and this is going to be obviously to boost her chill abilities, which is literally all of them. Next up we have dangerous ambush. This is here for when the boss is immobilized. We are going to get double the damage off onto the boss to absolutely delete them from the planes of existence. Next up we have skill insight to make sure that we are hitting them critical hits, which is the most important part of HAILEY. Next up we've got emergency measures for crit chance and crit damage, again another very important module. We also have front lines, again for crit chance and critical hit damage, which is again part of the build. Now this is where we are going to get into a little bit of a debatable situation. Now I go with spear and shield to increase skill power, but more primarily for defense and survivability. Now some people may argue that you should have increased HP on, and some people say spear and shield. Now this is where it is going to get a little bit interesting. I'll talk about this in a minute. First of all, we're going to use skill concentration again for critical hit damage, glacial syncytium again for extra chill power, shock focus for firearm attack. HAILEY thrives off the use of firearm attack, so this is going to be a fairly important module on a solo build. Last but not least, we have the maneuvering module. In this instance, I'm using long distance maneuvering. Now you can use any maneuvering module you want. I prefer long distance because I like getting that extra reach in a boss fight. Now this is going to be the second setup for this config. As you can see, between the differences on this config, there is very little, being that for trios and squads you only just want to have increased HP for extra survivability. Now you can replace spear and shield with increased HP, that way you have shot focus on both of these configs, but that is up to you guys to decide. I personally like running with both of them just for a little bit of extra survivability when running in squads, but for duos and solo this config is more than enough. Let's quickly have a look at HAILEY's abilities. As you can see, her first ability, the chill ability, which is just a drone that shoots cryo rounds at enemies. This is going to be a fairly useful ability. You are always going to want to make sure that you spam and have this ability on. So as you can see, the cooldown here is 5.1 seconds, which means it's not spammable per se, but you can definitely use this and it is something that you should concentrate on. Next up we have HAILEY's Storm Snare. This is an integral ability towards HAILEYing correctly. This is going to be your right hand man, your sword and your shield, the light in the tunnel of darkness. This is going to be your saving grace. The third ability, the Cold Fury, is going to be HAILEY's Lifeline. This is going to boost your damage significantly, and this is also going to make it so that your second ability does ludicrous levels of damage. Last but not least, we have HAILEY's Sniper ability. Now this ability is going to be your left hand. If the second ability is your right hand, this one is your left hand, and your heart is the Cold Fury ability. This ability is literally her. Like, this is her, bro. This is HAILEY in a nutshell. This is where all your DPS, all your power, and everything goes into. This is what we are building for in this config. So I've gone over the abilities. Let's talk about the other parts of this setup. So for the weapon on HAILEY, you are going to want to choose the piercing light. As you can see over here, firearm attack is almost 200,000 in on its own. Now HAILEY absolutely thrives off firearm attack. This is the best way to build HAILEY. and the weapon with the highest firearm attack in the game is indeed the piercing light. As for the stats, I'm going to put the optimal stats on screen right now. Now I myself do not have the full optimal stats, but these stats are essentially all you are going to need to start HAILEYing and doing ludicrous levels of damage. As for the config on the piercing light, this is going to be what you are going to want to run. Action and reaction again for more firearm attack. We're going to boost the firearm attack as high as we can. As you can see over here, we've got it to a staggering 93%. Again, we are going to want to focus on the weak point damage, so you can see 55% on the weak point damage and 78% of the critical hit multiplier. This is going to be the absolute GOAT when it comes to destroying things with HAILEY. Better concentration is here for critical hit damage. Focus fire is here for weak point damage and critical hit damage. Concentration priority, more damage. Weak point expansion. Now this is going to be one of the essential key mods of this build. Now the reason we need expand weapon charge is because when we are using her fourth ability, this is going to give you more shots to use. So more damage, more DPS, HAILEY at her peak. Next up we have support ammo. This is going to be here for more rounds again and more crit damage, more critical hit rate with better insight, rifling reinforcement for more attack, and weak point sight for, of course, weak point damage. Now this is going to be the optimal setup for the piercing light. So next up, let's talk about the reactor that you are going to need for HAILEY. So of course for the reactor, it's going to look something a little like this. You're going to want to go with a frozen reactor because, you know, HAILEY's chill like that. Next up, you're going to want the piercing light. This is of course going to be the essential weapon because that's the weapon we're rocking with. For the two stats in the middle, you are going to need chill and singular. Like I said, if you have a look at HAILEY's ability, her fourth ability is singular, her third ability is dimension, and her second ability is singular. So the second and fourth, the two abilities we are going to be rocking the absolute hardest, get a buff from this one. Next up, on the stats on the bottom, you are going to want either of the following stats. You are going to want either singular, critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and damage to the Colossus. Now, if there's one stat you want on here more than anything else, it is going to be damage to the Colossus. This is the most important thing for bossing on HAILEY without a doubt. Now preferably you want to get both of these in gold, but I got one in purple, which is the crit hit damage, which is still more than good enough. This is going to be what you need for the reactor. Let's talk about the final bit that is going to pull HAILEY all together. Now for the components, they are going to be the Good Old Slayer set. If you do recognize these components from one of my other videos, I think you should know what is going on here. HAILEY requires the Slayer set for extra skill power, and this is the exact same components that you are going to want to run on Lepic. So nuking Lepic and bossing HAILEY also have the exact same components which you are going to need. Lucky for me, I've got almost pitch perfect components, so let's just read them out to you guys. Number one, for the power, you're going to want max HP and MP recovery out of combat. For your sensor, you're going to want max MP and recovery in combat. For your memory, you are going to want the MP recovery modifier, and then for your second stat, you are either going to want electric resistance or defense. Now for the processor, you're just going to want shield and shield recovery modifier, and it is as simple as that. Now that is the entire config for the HAILEY, so let's get on into the gameplay loop for this absolute certified baddie. Before we get into the gameplay though, there is one very important thing that you must do for the best HAILEYing experience, and that is going to be the inversion reinforcements over here. Now of course you don't need to activate every single one of them, but there is going to be this one RK Peacemaker on the season tab at the bottom. This requires 3 to unlock, and the 3 before require 1 to unlock, for a total of 6 reinversion reinforcers. So this is going to be something that you absolutely need on HAILEY. When your movement is less than 300 per speed or whatever, you will get a skill cost decrease by 25%. Now this will take away your range and it will take away your fire rate by 5%, but your skill cost going that significantly low makes it so that you more or less get little to no energy drain whilst using this HAILEY third ability. So let's quickly delete the Pyromaniac and let me show you the gameplay loop with HAILEY and how you're going to want to run this. So you are not even going to need to worry about your timing on your third ability. Activate it as soon as you want to. And like I said, the slower your movement gets, the slower your MP is going to drain, as you can see. I'm at max stacks and getting very little MP drain, which is something that's very important. From here, you're going to want to spam your first ability and then use your second ability and make sure you hit a weak point. As you can see there, I already deleted Pyromaniac. But my point here being that with the Arcade Peacemaker on, you can see we're still kicking, we're still walking around. There is no problem with this MP drain because the Arcade Peacemaker has a massive change on HAILEY. As for the time, we managed to get the pyro down in a total of 7 seconds there. But that is the first way that you can play HAILEY. Let me go on over the second way that you can play HAILEY and the more preferred version of playing HAILEY. So option number 2 when it comes to playing HAILEY is going to be the following. Instead of using your first ability, your third ability, your second, what you're going to want to do is essentially just use your third ability, then use your first ability, and then just use your fourth ability. So from here, you're literally just going to want to pull up your sniping ability, and then you're all good to go. You are going to want to press your first ability just to make it activate, and from here, you are able to very much delete the Pyromaniac faster than if you were to use your second ability because of the animation, but even still more than capable of working with any boss. Another important thing to mention is that even if you do not have the typing advantage that you have against the Pyromaniac or the Molten Fortress, HAILEY is still more than capable of dogging on every single boss. As you can see, this Executioner getting absolutely deleted here. As I mentioned, Molten Fortress has a weakness to HAILEY. Look at this squad, it is scuffed AF. Do you think we beat the Molten Fortress? I'll give you a second to think here. So this is the result. We start off, I use my first ability, I use my second ability, all whilst my third ability is active. I use my fourth ability, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he is dead. On the plus side, if you got it right, here is a cookie for all of your troubles, and congratulations for getting the right answer. If you did get it wrong though, I will deal with you later. I hear you guys saying, what about the bosses that have got resistance to chill abilities, such as HAILEY's? And to that, there's a very, very simple answer. HAILEY does not give a and with this, you are just going to want to play as the following. You're just going to want to use the sniping. You're going to want to use the fourth ability, and you're just going to want to shoot them at their weak points and delete them like this. Even with that, you can finish them off with a regular sniping shot because that is disrespectful as it gets. Even though the Swamp Walker has a strong resistance to chill, you are still more than capable of taking my man out. Now for the Frost Walker and for the Dead Bride though, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. HAILEY is not good for the Frost Walker and HAILEY is not good for the Dead Bride. On the counterpart, Lepic, which is a fire type Pokemon, is amazing for them too. So if you've got the Lepic built, all you need to do is essentially invest in HAILEY, get yourself a reactor, the piercing light, and invest in HAILEY herself, and you've already got the components, which is just a recipe for success. With this now, you will have a Descendant that is excellent for Colossi fights, for specifically the Molten Fortress, Pyromaniac, and a few of the earlier ones like the Executioner, and then Lepic can take care of the Devourer easy AF. Lepic can also take care of the Frostwalker, Obstructor, and obviously not Gluttony, but Gluttony is his own ball game as of right now. My point being, invest in HAILEY, she is amazing. On that note, I do feel like I've covered HAILEY in extensive depth in this video, so that is the end of this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button, and if you are new here, please do consider subscribing. I'm going to have plenty of great guides coming for the first Descendant, so please do stay tuned to my channel. Smash that like button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!